Welcome to the 7 Cents Podcast, where we go beyond dollars and cents to unlock the mindset beyond the money.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mike Macklin, aka Money Mike, the financial Thanos, because I'm snapping my fingers and I'm turning your financial problems to dust.
And I'm Coach R.L, your money mindset coach. Mind right, money right, legacy locked in.
Guys, this is not your average financial podcast. We're breaking down money myths, mindset traps, and economic game plans.
We keep it real, raw, and relevant, from micro money moves to macro financial shifts.
This is a 7 Cents podcast where your mind meets your money. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 7 Cents podcast. Today is a very special one. First and foremost, I want to start the show off by giving a special shout out to all the fathers out there. The sacrifices, everything that we as men have to do to lead and build our families is something that I can't undervalue or overstress. It's a lot. With that in mind, I want to talk about something that's a little bit controversial, might be a little bit uncomfortable for us to talk about, but I feel like it's important for us as men to have this conversation. And what we're going to talk about today is whether or not a man should go out and seek a partner, start a family, things like that before they become financially stable. Now, me and Rob talked about this before the show started. We're coming from a place of how we feel about it. We're coming from a place of we're sticking more to, I guess, the financial aspect of it, because I'm going to caveat this. I'm not telling nobody how to live their life, but this is a financial show. We're going to give our thoughts on how to be fiscally responsible as men. And for me, that is the goal of this episode, is to teach men how to basically manage the resources that they have so that they can be effective leaders to their families, either now or if you don't have a family yet, when you decide to start that family, you're better equipped for that. With that tone being set, hey, look, join us on this ride, rock with us. All comments are welcome on this, good, bad, or indifferent. How you feel is how you feel. I'm not going to tell another man how to feel about anything, but this is what we do. First and foremost, before we go any further, let me shout out my co-host. Welcome. And so let's get right into this. I want to set the tone first and foremost with the emotional side of this. Let's talk about the emotional side of starting a family and all that as men. So what do you believe, what do you say to men who believe they'll never be ready for something like this? Like for that next step, for the family, the marriage, and maybe finance is a part of that reason. But how do you feel emotion plays into this decision?
Emotion plays a very big part, but those emotions are connected to, I want to call it experience. It's probably more cultural values, right? Our moms and aunties be pushing for us to have babies, and when you get 20 and then your mom be trying to get you out the house and onto other things. And so you feel obligated and rushed. It's funny because I had this conversation with my son the other day. He's just turned 19. And the conversation that I had is, hey, don't feel obligated or rushed to go and have a family, even though your mother is saying things. She's not saying it to him now. She's grooming him to be a good father. So, hey, make sure that you're doing this and that. And if you got that girl, hold on to her and all this other mess. And I'm like, look, the fact of the matter is, now I'm about to start cooking. The fact of the matter is, and ladies, you can comment on this if you want to, but this is going to be a controversial topic, but it's the truth, right? We men are not on a time clock. My father had me when he was 52 years old, and then he had my sister 5 years later. We are not on a time clock, right? That does play a little bit of part of age, and I give you my experience, not really actively playing with my dad because he was an older man. He taught me how to fix cars and stuff like that. As far as playing catch, I probably threw his shoulder out 3 or 4 times because I played quarterback. I throw the ball too fast for him. So that part does play a piece, but when it comes to starting a family and having kids, we gentlemen are not on a time clock. I think at the time my mom might have been 34, 35 years old, right? So older men can get younger women on it. I'm not saying that it's something right or wrong with it. It's just a fact of the matter and a fact of the nature. Now, with that being said, I'm trying to think, do I say my piece now or do I wait? Nah, I'm not going to bite my tongue. So
there you go. Let's go.
The emotional piece to this, because I want to answer that question, is that as you get older into your family, and I'm just giving you game from my experience, not only as a financial coach, but as a father of 8 kids, you don't want to have regret as you're growing your family. So it's always important to be financially sound for them. That is the answer to my answer is you will have regret if you aren't able to take care of your family the way you want to, period, exclamation. Now, let me
Gotcha.
ask you this, Mike.
What's up?
What is your perspective of men starting families and not being financially secure? If it was up to you, would you start a family before you are financially stable? I think the thing that throws everything off is financially stable for you and the other person is different. But let me ask that from your perspective. Would you start a family before you are financially stable?
Okay. Excuse me. I'm going to use psychology in a sense as a way to answer this. And more so what I mean by psychology as far as like personal development, becoming who you need to be. And this may sound really bad. I'm going to start this right off tip. This may sound really bad, but I feel like men, you have to start out selfish at the beginning. You have to start out selfish at the beginning. And I say that because if you aren't together personally, there is no way that you are going to be effective as a life partner to whoever you deal with. And you definitely are not going to be effective as a father if you don't have yourself together. And I say that because both your partner and your children are looking to you for leadership. They looking to you as an example. When stuff starts going crazy, the first place they looking is at you. And if you don't have yourself together, if you haven't been through the bumps and bruises of life, if you haven't taken the time to develop yourself and to be okay with who you are, then there's no way that you're going to be effective as a leader in that family. And now let me segue that into finance. Life almost imitates art in that sense, because if you don't have yourself together emotionally, then you aren't equipped to make the proper decisions financially to put yourself in a position to serve as that example. The lack of financial stability is going to put you in a emotional instability as well, because those two worlds are going to intertwine. And so for me to put this all into an actual answer to that question, to me, focus on you first, focus on your money first, and then start looking towards bringing somebody into that equation. Because I'm going to sizzle a little bit longer on this, and then, you know what I'm saying, we're going to move on. But to me, I think it's very, let me think how I'm going to say this. I think it's wrong to bring somebody else into a bad situation, both emotionally and financially. So let's use this example. Let's say you got $100,000 of debt and you struggling, like you got a minimum wage job and you got about $100,000 of debt and you barely making it, like barely, like you eating beans and rice, like for dinner, like every night. And that's how it's going. And now you decide you're going to bring somebody into that. To me, I feel like that is a very irresponsible thing to do. And so that is my overarching response to this question. I personally feel is a very irresponsible thing to do is to bring somebody else into a unstable environment of financial instability. Yeah.
So I have a caveat to that, but I'm going to say where I agree. And I'm going to say this because a lot of this is just me being the grown man and having the experience and seeing it unfold and being baffled at the after action of this. I agree that you should be selfish prior to entering in any relationship. A little bit different because you need to learn how to be adult all the way. Right? You need to learn how to buy a house. You need to learn how to buy a car. You need to learn how to get a job. You need to learn these adult things. And this is not even just for the fellas, right? This is part of the ladies too. Because what happens is, and I've seen, especially as a financial coach, is you get these divorced couples, be mamas and daddies, and they've been together with their partner since they were 18 and they never grew and developed as adults, and they don't know how to buy a house. They don't know how to buy a car. They don't know where to start. They just leaned on the other person for so long and then it didn't work out and they literally starting over, not realizing that they're starting over from the time that they're 18 and they join that relationship and they got no adult experience. And so that makes it really difficult to function in society as a 30-year-old, 18-year-old.
Yeah.
It's hard. So you have to adult first, get the experience as an adult first, especially financial, being stable, and then go on. Now, caveat to all of that. Shit ain't work out like that for me. I'll give you my experience. This is me actually coming off of being homeless. I joined the Army, made some money. I was generally financially stable, but I was comfortable than a motherfucker. I could buy whatever I needed, whatever I wanted. The Army housed me, and I was cool where I was at. My wife, and then when she was my girlfriend, elevated me as a human being so much that I would never come close to being as far as I am without her. In saying that, if I didn't have a partner, and this is the part of where I believe that like natural human instinct and God's social circle of man and woman works out, and you can go to other religions and yin and yang and how do we balance each other out. But I would not be anywhere as far as I needed to be if my wife wasn't nagging me about something every day. She nagged me to get promoted. She nagged me to study for the board. She nagged me into success. She nagged me into success. And some people, and I ain't gonna say to people, some men need that. We need that. Especially, I would like to call them like the son whispers to mothers as well, because as a kid growing up, you only hear so much from your mom. But then when the lady that you love is replicating these ideas that you've been hearing all of your life, and you know what you need to do, but now you got somebody who's holding your feet to the fire to do it, and sometimes you're going to execute. Now, I say all that to say everybody isn't self-driven, and there are some people who are self-driven and they don't need that. But I really do believe that in the counter argument of should you be financially stable to before you join a family, again, financially stable is different, but I don't think you know how much, not that don't think you know, but I believe that having a partner helps accelerate your drive. And if you go into the right relationship, this can have benefits. If you go into a relationship where you're the breadwinner and the other person is a homemaker, terrible idea. But if you go in to a relationship where you make 50,000 and she make 50,000, well, together y'all make 100,000. Y'all both just leveled up 100%. And I think this is where we say, hey, this can be very controversial. Yeah,
it can.
This is, but it depends on the dynamic. But I would say if I was to look at the spectrum of does it make more sense, I would say on the 70% side, I would be leaning towards, hey, get your shit straight before you jump into a relationship.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this real quick because it's something that just popped into my head that I feel like pulls both of these kind of thoughts together. And I don't know if it's a quote or it's a rule or something that was put out, but essentially, basically, the thought is one of the most important financial decisions that you make is choosing your mate.
110%.
And so I think that is an excellent segue of both of these concepts, because the key to, and Rob mentioned this, and I love that he brought this out, and shout out to his wife, because I've personally seen and talked with her, and I definitely see how she helps him to build and to get better. And so, yeah, choosing that right person to be into your life can actually propel you to that place of financial stability. To blend both of these comments or these perspectives, yeah, I think one of the most important decisions you're going to make financially, again, is choosing who you allow into your life, because that person can either propel you to heights well beyond what you thought, or they can drag you down 10,000% below where you were before. So emotionally speaking and financially speaking, I really think you have to make a well-informed decision of who it is that you decide to bring into your world, as much as you make sure that you're financially stable as well. So I really like that particular section. But we're gonna move on from that so that we can continue on and get some more perspectives, because we just surface level right now. Be honest with you, this is just the surface level answer to this. Let's talk about a few things that actually affects that relationship financially speaking. A lot of relationships are made or broken because of money. And so I want to take a moment to talk about that a little bit. So Rob, let me bounce that off of you. What are some ways to where money affects these relationships, and some things that maybe our viewers or somebody listening can look out for or keep in mind as they're looking towards bringing somebody else into their world or whatever?
Yeah, so I would say I watch a lot of Instagram, so I would call myself a professional, and I'm capping. Really, the majority of women want some level of protection. Not all of them want financial protection, but most of them do. And I'm talking about worldwide, not just in America, worldwide. How I know? I've been worldwide. And if you can provide a level of financial protection to your partner, that is 90% of the relationship. And I wanted to hop on my phone to give y'all the roundabout number. I know it's pretty dang on high, but a lot of relationships or marriages,
Mm-hmm.
and even same-sex marriages, are destroyed from just finances.
Yep.
We can't get on the same page financially.
Exactly.
And that is like one of the biggest things. And I've been in conversations with clients, and they're going at each other's heads. And it even comes down to, I love you. I love everything about you. But this one thing is breaking us. And so it is a very big deal to be, and I think we're beyond financially stable at this point, but it's more financially savvy in your relationship. A lot of that comes from ensuring that you have these conversations with them often, ensuring that you are sharing the same ideals as them. Me and my wife did an exercise, which is going to be another course in the Financial Greatness Academy. We're going to have a couples course. We wanted to know if the couples knew what each other was thinking. And so instead of giving them two different notebooks, we created a extra line for the other partner. Hey, you fill this out. And then you go and fill yours out. But right before you fill it out, you get to read what your partner said, because what you thought it was ain't what they think it is.
Yeah.
And then the other question is, did you know she was thinking about this? Were you tracking that? And some people are so disjointed in their finances in their relationship that over time, it absolutely becomes a problem. So if you're not giving yourself a heat check, and I mean, if you get paid twice a month, then you should at least be having that conversation twice a month before you get paid.
Yeah.
So if you're not even having that conversation twice a month, or for me, daily, then you're going to have a problem in your relationship. It's just going to happen. And no matter how passive you are, you'd be like, she never said nothing, or you never said nothing. If I'm telling you, if the conversation don't happen, it's going to boil over and it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. So you have to set the precedence of being very aware of what your financial situation is in your relationship, where you stand, not only in the present. And see, you got to stop letting me cook, bro, because I'm going to go be up here I'm preaching now, but not only in the present, but especially for men. Women think so deep that they are like 5-10 steps ahead of us, bro.
Yeah.
Like, all the time.
That's the truth.
Like they already see the last baby graduating, and you trying to figure out what to eat for lunch. Like, women thought process is so far ahead of ours. And if you don't set out and have a 1, 5, 10-year plan to give her that vision, how can she support what you got going on? Right? So you got to be ahead of the game. So even if she's 20 years ahead of you, at least give her a 10-year blueprint so she can figure it out. That's going to help her stop creating shit in her mind. You always think your lady is creating something. Yeah, you're sitting on a couch drinking a beer trying to watch Monday Night Football when she's trying to grow and develop her business, or ensure that the kids get to college and get their college applications in. Like, you got to be just as far ahead. Let me wrap this up, because I can get long-winded. You need to have a long-term plan collectively, so you know where you're going. If you don't have, it's like driving, like tell her, hey baby, get in the car. She like, you like, where we going? Just get in the car. And then you drive, you ain't cutting no GPS on, and you talking about you going on vacation and you have no idea where you going. It just don't make sense. It don't make sense. You need a plan. You need to cut the damn GPS on so both of y'all know which way y'all driving.
Right. So with that in mind, because man, I don't know how you do this, man, but I swear you be just knowing how to steer the car right into the next thing I want to talk about. But with the with the GPS in mind, everything like that, that kind of segues into the next thing I kind of want to talk about. And that is really defining what financially ready actually means. Okay. Because there's a difference between being rich and being ready. There's a huge difference. And a lot of men, they think that financially stable means having like millions of dollars in the bank. But Rob, in your thoughts, like what does financially ready mean to you?
So financially ready means to me that you have the biggest few things outlined: mindset, goals, and priorities. If you have the mindset, goals, and priorities, everything else will fall in line. The second thing that you need, or the second layer of things that you need, is a budget. And if you have debt, a debt management plan. Once you have these two things in order, then you need to have an investment plan and a protection plan. Once you have all of those things, then you are financially ready to go. If you don't have them, and at least the ability to get educated and have a plan. I don't think it's necessarily about having all of those things, because sometimes you'll have debt and it doesn't make sense to have debt and investments, because they kind of either cancel each other out, or really your money is just doing a yo-yo. So it don't make sense. So if you have debt, but you have an investment plan, like, hey, after I get out of debt, you have a debt management plan and investment plan. Now you can provide this person, and really yourself, a roadmap of where you're going. Hey, I got $100 grand in debt, but I'm about to pay off 20 grand for the next 5 years, and then I'm going to be good to go. So that way you can have the conversation to say, we not going to Cancun, we can go up the street because I need to stay on track with this 20 grand. These are the conversations that need to be had. And let me take a step back. Don't go long-winded on us. Your financial plan should be mindset, goals, priorities, budget, debt management plan, investment plan, and property protection plan, meaning insurance, wills, trust, all of that good stuff. That is financially stable. Having a plan for all of those things.
Okay. No, it makes sense to me. It's real subjective, to be honest with you. It's really subjective. But again, speaking from me, what I feel financially ready means, and again, this is me. Financially ready means that a majority of the things.
So that's my perspective. Wow. So what do you think financial stability looks like for men?
The biggest thing for me is financial stability for men is, I think you said it, is the debt management piece. I'm a huge proponent of, again, not bringing baggage into a relationship. So for me, I feel like before you step into that relationship, a majority, if not all of your debt should be gone. And again, this is my opinion. Obviously, new debts are going to come as the family goes through its different stages. However, when you first walk into this thing, I feel like as a man, you should have a majority of your debt gone. And the reason I say that,
I agree.
Yeah, the reason I say that is because, again, at the top of the show, I talked about my stance on how I feel even starts looking towards a relationship. And that is, again, you don't want to bring crap into the relationship right off the beginning. You don't want to be the catalyst that basically destroys the relationship before it even begins. And a lot of the points that we hit on during the course of talking about this, as far as women needing you to put that roadmap in front of them, you being an example to your family, to your children, having that huge milestone out of the way at the beginning, you help to ensure that that roadmap is set, that example is being made. So debt management to me is a cornerstone of financial stability, financial readiness, especially when it comes to a relationship, because it takes away a lot of the distraction that a lot of people have in these relationships, as far as all the emotional baggage, all the issues that come along with being in debt. So for me, a short answer to that question of financial readiness is ensuring that your debt is very little to almost gone.
I also think we should look at it from another perspective. And I think this recent culture and generation perspective, there are, and I think I see this more so in the DC area, is that we have a lot of strong independent women who aren't necessarily worried about your baggage and are more concerned with, again, just the future that you're trying to go to. I don't disagree that you shouldn't bring baggage into the relationship, but also it's not a deal breaker if you're going in with a 50-50 partner. I think one thing that we do need to look at though, and maybe this is a whole nother episode for another day, but when you are looking at debt or when you looking at credit, if you're not using that credit or that debt to gain assets, then you are hustling backwards. I don't even know any other way to tell you outside of if you're not accumulating something that's going to either pay that money back itself. Really, that's just about it. I can't think of anything else why you would want to dive into credit unless the thing that I'm getting is going to make money. It only makes sense. So where I agree with you, Mike, is you shouldn't be going into relationships with baggage for sure. The reason I said that these independent women will look at that different is because I think I was being selfish in my mind is if I'm holding debt and I come into this relationship with the debt is probably something that went into my business or it's one of the houses or it's something that's going to accumulate money later. It's just debt that we got. And so I know an independent woman or a smart woman would be able to work with that more than I just got $100,000 worth of debt and then 2 of it is from a Benz that got repoed, and you know what I mean? Like the debt is different. There is a such thing as good debt and bad debt, but on the surface, I completely understand. Like you probably just don't want to walk in any relationship with unknown baggage.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. On the lines of this, in the realms of this, the GOAT business, you guys do a lot of great things out in the community. Let's talk about how your business specifically addresses, and you touched on it, addresses how families can really collectively look at their finances, and what are some initiatives that their business is doing to support that?
Yeah, absolutely. Sticking to the script of this conversation, we do individual and couples financial strategies. And so we sit down with you, we go do a financial audit, and then we have classes to walk you through how to collectively with your partner work through your finances. I think it is the Financial Greatness Academy, but it is one of my favorite tools because it's one of the tools that allows me to work hand in hand with my wife. What y'all got cooking up over there at the Green Order?
Like I said, I've been talking a lot about debt and financial readiness here. So what I decided to do over here at the Green Order is to give men as well as women a tool to basically help them in navigating through debt. And so what I did is basically started what's called a 60-day financial starter kit. And what this does is essentially it's going to walk you through the initial phases of not only eliminating your debt, but also how to start to leverage the current resources that you do have in order to eliminate your debt, actually learn to start putting that money to work for you, and the actual management of what you actually have. And I think this is a phenomenal way to get your mind at least starting to think in the direction of how to actually properly not just manage and eliminate debt, but also to create a solid financial future for yourself. Now, after looking at the 60-day financial reset starter kit, I actually offer a 60-day financial reset where we actually can work together one-on-one through a 8-week course and put you in a position where, again, you're not only eliminating that debt, but you're also putting yourself in a position of financial readiness. And in honor of Father's Day, I think this is something great that you can put in front of the man in your life or whatever. Just download the 60-day financial reset starter kit, send that to somebody that you love, and let's get on the right side of this.
Absolutely. And this was a great conversation. Again, Mike, man, I really appreciate sitting down with you and busting out a couple hours of just content and great conversation. And I'm hoping that people are getting something from it, but this is definitely helping growing me as not only a financial professional, but just as a human being, being able to exercise a money mindset. I truly appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, no problem at all. Before we go, anything that you want to drop as an overarching thought within the realm of this episode?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest nugget that I want to leave with people is I want you to understand that adulting is hard. It's harder when you start to add people to it and even more people. So I'm saying in this and growing your family. And these are some of the things that I'm learning as an adult myself and with 8 kids. But being able to truly hold yourself responsible as an adult is one of the most important things you can do, especially as the man of the house, for sure.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, a lot of what you said is pretty much in line with what I feel. Is just as men, as fathers, as leaders in the community, it is very important that we understand the value of how we handle our finances as a resource. This is not what measures you as a man, but your financial readiness is one of the most important resources that you will have that will help you to provide for your family. And making that decision to bring individuals into your life prior to having that proper resource in front of you is just a disservice to those people. So I urge you, just sit down, get yourself together first.
That's fire. That's fire. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 7th.
So with that, family, this has been another banger episode of the 7 Cents Podcast. We sincerely hope that you got value from this. Don't forget to comment, and make sure you subscribe to both the Green Order as well as the GOAT Academy. And we will see you guys on the next one.
You just tapped into the 7 Cents, where the mind meets the money and the legacy gets built.
It's your boy Money Mike, the financial Thanos, snapping one myth at a time and leaving no financial lies standing.
And I'm Coach R.L, mind right, money right, legacy locked in. If today's episode gave you game, make sure you rate, review, and share it with someone.
Hey, follow us on all platforms and keep the conversation going, guys. DM us your questions, your myths, and your money wins.
Until next time, think deeper, move smarter, and keep building.
This is the 7 Cents Podcast. We out.